Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, over me hills to Boakai, to educate, elevate, and promote. Yeah, focus on Liberia, for Liberia, Liberia, for Liberia, yeah. From Monday to Sunday, from Monday to Sunday, it's focus on Liberia. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Friday Night Debate on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jah, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In tonight's edition of Friday Night Debate, we're going to be debating three key issues. Number one, President Boakai has returned from South Korea on the Africa-Korea Summit with 7 MOUs. We want to debate the return on investment, if you put it that way, of the trip. Papa now come, as President Salib would say. Papa now come, what has he brought back? 7 MOU, good thing, bad thing, not so good, not so bad. What you make of it? We're going to debate that. Number two, former presidential candidate Tiawon Se Gongloe has criticized the Boakai administration on 4 different grounds: violating the PMF laws, or he said they are not serious about accountability and transparency. They're making the same mistakes as President Weah. We're going to look into that. Is Councillor Gongloe right on the point? Is he on point here? We're going to look into that. And 3, legislative retreats. The senators have their retreat. The legislators, or the House of Representatives too, are planning their retreat. And don't forget, they are spending some good money. Let me welcome Jimmy Eastman, is our co-host here on the FOL Marketplace. Mr. Jimmy Eastman is joining us from the nation's capital. Welcome, Jimmy. Unmute, please. Unmute yourself, Jimmy.
It's wonderful to be here, Mr. Jah. I look forward to exposing things that we need to know so that we can make better decisions in the future.
Thank you. Let me also welcome Father Elijah B. Washington. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Dennis. It's a privilege to be here and an honor to share the platform with my brothers from our country. And today's a beautiful weather in my state, and I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
And we are all excited. We say, brethren, pray for us, for this is the will of God. So we happen to always to have the Reverend among us to pray for us. Let me welcome Dr. Clarence Peace. Clarence R. Pearson. Dr. Pearson, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dennis. It's a pleasure being on the show tonight. I just want to say hi to all my colleagues in studio with you. And it's a pleasure having to be a part of this program tonight to talk to the Liberian people on Liberian issue across the world.
Thank you. Last and definitely not the least is everywhere political analyst Mr. Mohammed Sharif, a product of Waplo Institute from Riboji, Kilipo, Kanwiken. Welcome, sir.
Yes, Dennis, it's always good to be here. Thanks for having me.
We want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. If you have not done so already, please share the show, invite someone, and let's get started. Well, when Papa comes home, we all expect something, right? So President Boakai first was in the United States to attend a summit in Dallas, Texas. He was here with us in Atlanta to visit. Now he just concluded the Africa-Korea summit in Seoul, Korea. And when he came back, reports say he signed some agreements, right? So the report that we are getting says that there's something cooking there for us. The National Investment Commission, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the Ministry of Agriculture have signed 7 memorandum of understanding with Korean multinational companies. And these are in various areas, right? These agreements are poised to bring about substantial development in key areas. This MOU will ensure a more robust and reliable energy sector through the provision and development of solar energy power plants, investment in agricultural research and enhanced food productivity and seed development, and the supply of prepaid meters to facilitate easy and unhindered access to water supply. These are significant. Mr. Sharif, what's your take? Of late now, when our presidents go out, we are expecting something. Since the days of President Saleh, when she coined the phrase "Papa now come," Papa now come. What do you think of it?
Yes, that is. I'm laughing because Papa now come. But look, on this platform, you've heard me supported President Boakai's policies in areas that I think that are purposeful, that are meaningful to the Liberian people. This visit to Korea for the Korea-Africa summit, I thought was not useful for the Liberian people. Look, people are talking, the foreign ministry and all these different ministries are celebrating this, but there's nothing to celebrate here. These are non-binding agreements. That's what basically MOU is. An MOU is a non-binding agreement with the understanding of the parties' intent to take an action, to do something. They're not saying that we're binding to this. They're not saying that we're going to do X, Y, and Z. Maybe they're going to follow through. They're going to follow up. Korea is going to. I'm sure they're going to. But as soon as they get into the country and they see the level of corruption, they see the level of perhaps instability in certain areas and the fluidity of situations in the country, they're going to pack their bags and go back home. So this is nothing to be happy about. The president would have been better served to stay at home. The delegation was better served to stay at home and just work on the roads as he's doing, work on some other thing, work on, the War Crimes Court, work on things that are meaningful and purposeful to the Liberian people. This non-binding agreement is nothing to celebrate.
You're on mute.
Father Washington, Papa now come.
Well, I didn't know. All the time I spent in Liberia, I never saw Papa come home during the time in government. So I don't know whether Papa is ever going to come home in this government. But what I'm impressed with is that whenever we have the opportunity to engage our international partners with trade agreements and have the time to sign MOUs to see the future. I always think it's a step in the right direction. I'm not going to criticize it. I'm going to just wait to see what the outcomes are going to be. And I'm very impressed with the foreign minister. Like, one person I'm very impressed with, she took over. She's been working tremendously, and I'm impressed with the work she's doing. So for me, every opportunity that our country has to be able to make have trade with other countries and see whether we can be able to tap into their expertise and they can be able to trade with us. And if it's going to give us any dividends, that's the way to go. Always, I mean, that was every country do. I mean, we engage with other people and make sure that we can share ideas and we can gain from each other. So if it's something that is going to bring some productivity to our country, we should go fight it. And I'm not going to criticize. I'm just going to wait until we can start these engagements.
Dr. Pearson, even big agreements and companies, things that are going to be done, start with MOU, right? Start with something. We got to start somewhere. So 7 MOUs, good news, bad news, not so good. What's your take?
I would like to tonight say that Liberia participation in the South Korea Africa Summit, I think it was a good initiative. And I think it was good that we did make that visit, especially for a new administration just coming to power. You want to touch bases with the powers that be, the big players in the game, especially when it comes to global economy. But I having said that, I just want to recall that if you look, you notice that the South Korean government is looking to spend 10 billion in foreign partnership and 14 billion in addition. Direct investment in their own companies who will be investing abroad. So for an opening statement, I think for Liberia to have been there and to make a case is in the right direction, except that what I did not see is that we did not have the opportunity. Like, the last time on this same platform, we talked about going out there, you have to have a pre-plan and a follow-up plan as well. So going to the summit, when we queried the last time that the visit to America did not have a plan by the government, they didn't have a talking point. This time around, Cllr for Fun mentioned that the government had already listed some things that would have been the focal points of the conversation abroad in Korea. But unfortunately, when they came and talked about the 7 MOU, we did not see how they compare the MOUs with the determination that they had going to the conference. So we're looking to see what the follow-up would be like in terms of comparing what they expected and what they got out of it.
Thank you. Jimmy, we got 7 MOUs in key sectors. I think this is all for celebration, don't you think?
No. One thing way I would categorize the aspirations of this administration, and I would say that it is presumptuous at best. And I say that because they presume things will bear fruit, or we will see a definite good outcome, but it's far from the truth. It has not been realized. And we need to stop making a lot of fanfare about things that have not come to fruition. The idea you hear is good, that they are making ways of negotiating to bring some benefit to Liberian people. But I don't think they should start announcing things when they have not reached a formidable stage. We see with the Western cluster, we had an agreement in place with them, and the companies, they have not yet honored their agreement. In other words, they should have built the railroad or what to facilitate the exportation of the ore to the port, but we don't see that. And instead of holding them to their obligation, we see they use an MOU to subvert or undermine the agreement we have in place. I think we have to be careful when we hear that word MOU, because it may be a way of bypassing constitutional law agreements that we have in place. As you properly said, MOU or it was Sheriff, MOU is an understanding. It is not a commitment. We've seen companies fail to meet their commitment, and we've seen the government, allow them to exploit the situation. We do not hold them to their obligation. So how much more an MOU, which is not even a contractual agreement, how much more will we be able to enforce anything like that? I think we must remain hopeful, but not presumptuous. The other day they made an announcement about 285 yellow machines using some AI advertisement. Is that really necessary? I know they want to promise the Liberian people benefits, gains, and employment, but why promise them something that you're not sure about? You risk your credibility. You risk turning would-be supporters against you when you fail. I don't think this is not the way they need to proceed. They need to proceed with accomplishments, not promises. Show us what you have done, and we will give you that respect. Stop focusing on promises and well-wishing, and focus on the concrete. One of the few things they are doing, which I will commend them, we see them building the roads. The RI road is progressing. Show us how much more pavement you have accomplished since your administration. But using promises, AI, and whatnot to impress the Liberian people, I see an element of falsehood in that. Do you really have to go down that road? Is it because you don't have anything of substance? Is the reason why you're using chicanery and pretense to allure people and make them think you're doing something? People who are really doing something, they will tell you, say, look, we're doing this. This is how far we reach. They will not promise you the world, 285 machines. You're not seeing where they're getting it. You're not seeing the budget. And to add to all of this, which we talked about, we notice people circumventing the law by taking debts that are not properly processed. They're not going through the due process. All these things they're doing, they may think they're accomplishing one aim, but they're undermining the greater respect for the law and the processes that we have in place. So these MOUs, it's one of those things that are not concrete, and it looks like it's a mechanism to impress us. So until they come up and tell us the extent of these MOUs and what they are, what they entail, these are just they're just blowing smoke in our eyes, man. As far as I'm concerned, we need concrete results. That's what we're looking for.
Let me go to Mr. Aliyu Samba Kamara, a strong Boakai supporter. Mr. Kamara, Papa now come with 7 MOUs. What do you make of them?
Yes, I think it's a good step in the right direction, actually. We normally say something is better than nothing.
What is something? What is something?
Hold on, Jimmy.
Oh. Well, you usually say something is better than nothing. You say the Macan was something, so they came with something, and it's better than zero. So what we need to know, for me, I haven't gotten the details of those MOUs. The only thing I know that 7 MOUs were signed in South Korea. So I want to really look, because the devil is always in the detail. For me, I don't look at things just from the surface. So as far as the MOU thing goes, I think it's a step in the right direction, but I'll have more informed analysis about it when I actually see the details.
All right. So some of the details, they said this MOU will ensure a more robust and reliable energy sector through the provision and development of solar power plants, investment in agricultural research to enhance food productivity and seed development, and the supply of prepaid meters to facilitate easy and unhindered access to water supply. I mean, this is from the president's office. I mean,
yeah, but that is not.
Yeah, Ja, if I may, Ja.
That is not. Yeah.
Can I come
yeah,
on?
but
That is not.
But you think they will lie to us?
Aliu, 1 second. The thing is that Ja, Brother Ja, if you notice is that they mentioned four companies, and the companies that they mentioned are not even amongst the top 10 companies in the areas of expertise that they want help from. Even the electric company that they're talking about that do solar, that build some solar panels and other stuff, the revenue turnover is not even close to $1 billion annually, or even up to 500 million annually. It's far less than that. So I think some of the worries that I have, Aliu said, is the detail as to what they expect to get from this, because our energy need is very huge. Very huge. Our agricultural needs very huge. So these are very huge needs that we have. So if 10 billion and 15 billion is going to be going towards Korea investment across global partnership, I mean, how much of that money can we get through these small companies? That's what I'm thinking. The turnover is very low.
And Aliyu, you can earn. I mean, this is, you're a strong Boakai supporter. So if the president come and say, I've signed these MOUs and this they're going to help, this MOU for reliable energy sector, development of solar plant, the supply of prepaid meters. I mean, what else are you looking for?
Okay, but all of those things are just, for me, they're just headlines.
Okay, yeah, I agree.
How is not in those MOUs. However, I listened to the press secretary of the president today. She clearly stated that the president was one of the few presidents who met and had a meeting with the South Korean president, as if that's a big thing anyways, but that's what happened. And so she assured us that the Korean president himself has interest in investing in Liberia. What I'm saying is it is the right footing. They're putting the right steps to the right places. But for us to actually really, guarantee for a fact, XYZ is coming, we have to see something more than the MOU. But at the same time, MOU is better than zero.
Okay. Sometimes 0 is worse than -5. But Father Washington.
Yes.
Father Washington, should we even be talking about this? Like the president goes somewhere and we say, oh, what did bring for us? I mean, these are trips. We don't see other presidents like we are here in America. And if Biden went somewhere, the Americans are now worried about what the place he went, what they're going to give us. Why are we so focused on quick stuff that you go there? Oh, we signed this and we're going to get this money.
Well, that's what poverty does. I mean, if it's coming to visit you, your kids will be excited because they know there will be something that the chief might leave beyond. So that's what happens. What happens to a society where there's poverty, everything we want to do. I would have hoped when this government came to power, how they're going to maximize their own institutions and see to raise funds. But now the thing they want to do is to just go outside there and keep, they say, hey, let's reach out. We need to reach out there. And, most of these countries are giving out these monies that we can pay back tomorrow. We can be able to, improve our country. So everybody's hoping, hey, what is he going to bring? What is he going to bring? And one thing I also see is that we have this political correct society wherein If the president doesn't go, why didn't he go? Other people went there. He should have gone to this meeting. If he goes, why did he go? He should have not gone. He should have just waited. So you can never win. Liberia, you can never win. There is always somebody who's going to say something that you shouldn't have done. You should have done it this way. Yeah, so for me, but yeah, that's what you expect. I mean, our country is a poor country, so we always want to beg. You know, I remember some time ago when I don't know, one of these American presidents, I don't know whether it was George Bush who visited Liberia. People were angry that he came to our country and he donated books. You know, so but that's what you get. So yeah, I expect Liberia now to say, hey, this is what we have. Let us have a trade. Let's not have a trade. We have iron ore, we have diamond, we have gold. We're not going to beg you, but hey, let's sit together and let's discuss. I give you this, you give me this. This is what I'm going to benefit from. I'm not going to come here and be begging you, say, hey, give me this loan, and then after 5 years, I'm going to pay with this interest. No, let's have a dialogue. Let's sit down as two mature country. I have this, you have this, and how can we exchange and how can we have trade? And I think that's what we should be doing. So if we do that, they would not be running beyond countries, would not be running to other countries to be part of whatever they are doing there. But we sit in our own country, and when they come to our country, we say, hey, this is what we have. What do you have? How do we work together to be able to benefit our two countries? But right now, it's like everybody's running after something just because they want to make some gain. I think that's what is happening in Liberia, our country. The president has come and he wants to make some mark. And the way he thinks he can make that mark is to leverage other countries and say, hey, let's go there and see what they have to give us, and then we can pay back tomorrow. And well,
allow me to come in because there's something I just have to come in here. We have for years and years we've been giving up our natural resources for little or nothing. There's no development coming in. We receive the money and no development is going on. In today's world, if you are not capable of producing, we have realized this in economics over the years. If you are not producing, if you are only supplying raw material, it's unsustainable. It's going to run out. We have to have a different approach. These MOUs, and there's a reason why we haven't seen any of these MOUs. If they're not increasing local productivity, they're not sustainable. We have to take a new approach to these agreements. We don't want to be begging, but we don't want to be begging so that we can beg for a few little hospitals and whatnot to be built. We need to churn the machinery of our industries, and we need to start producing. So if those MOUs talk about establishing factories, establishing industries, promoting local production, then we can look forward to it. But if it's just to give out more diamond and iron ore and that we will not see the light of day, we're doing the same mistakes of the past. We have not learned anything. And we're repeating the same weak posture where we only give up everything we have for little or nothing. It has to change.
Yeah, and to Washington point, I was saying, our family sent some, barrels of clothes to our hometown in Sino. So when those guys then, from Greenville to Sino used a bike to go there. So when they got there, quickly, they were able to take those things. Later on, we sent books because we wanted to raise the school from junior high to high school. We sent books. When those same guys were in Greenville, when they saw the books,
they say, why
they said, we're not going to burn, we're not going to. They left the books, and those books made like 3 months in Greenville. We have to send extra money. Yeah. So I see. But Mr. Sharif, is this a break from the past? Because President Weah, when he was there, we were so much hoping when he goes somewhere. Oh, the first time he went to France, he signed this $1 million, $10 million, or this $1 million. This is supposed to be a break from the past. Why are we still talking about, Papa Nakam?
It's not, there's no, in this particular discussion on this MOU, if we have to narrow it down to this, it's not a break from the past. It's business as usual. And I'll go back to what I said. These MOUs that people are excited about is just a way of telling the Liberian people that, look, we went over there and this is what we brought home for you. And this is the same beggar mentality You know, we're beggars. We're perpetual beggars. And so we go somewhere, you know, our hands are out. You know, quickly, our hands are out and we're begging for money. We're begging for everything that we can get. And so when we come home, when our leaders come home, we're asking them, why did you go over there? What did you bring for us? What did you bring for the Liberian people? I mean, Americans go to Liberia, Europeans go to Liberia, and the moment they start to discuss something, we're saying to them, oh, we don't have this. We don't have X, Y, and Z. Please help us with this. Please help us with that. You listen to some of this, and, you know, it's really moment. There are really moments that I'm sitting there scratching my head. Right. So like for example, when the Internal Affairs Minister, something I mentioned on top of that session yesterday, when the Internal Affairs Minister met with the Chinese ambassador to Liberia, he started begging for everything. He started asking for everything. A beggar, pure beggar mentality. And like Jimmy said, these things have to stop. So it's not a break from the past. It's a continuation of, you know, past tendencies. So it'll take real courage to break away from that. The president could come back and say, look, we went to the Korea-Africa Summit, and here's the bigger picture of it. Without saying I brought something for you, without mentioning these MOUs. I mean, these MOUs are, again, they are people, the Koreans are non-committal to this. They don't have to follow through with this. If they come to so let's just say they come to Monrovia tomorrow morning, and they see the security situation, they see the drug situation, they see the pandemic. I mean, they see everything in there, you know, energy situation and whatnot, the corruption, why not? They can pack their bags and leave. They're not committed to this. So this is not something to be excited about. There are other things to be excited about, but this is not one of them. I'm sorry, this is not one of them. And you know, Father Washington mentioned the foreign minister's role in some of this. I think that's what he said. But I don't know. I don't know what this foreign minister is doing that everybody is, you know, giving, you know, commendations. This is not the first time I've heard this. I've heard it another time again. I'm still looking to see what has the foreign minister done so significantly different from previous foreign ministers, from Kenya, for example. That, you know, now she's getting all these commendations. I don't get it.
Yeah. Dr. Pearson, I want you to conclude on this, because even when there are some countries, you know, say some countries walk away with billions, with millions, all these will start with something as simple as an MOU.
Yeah,
so I think we should give the president some credit here. Is maybe the only thing is setting the right expectation, or maybe you should work to temper down the expectation of the people. Why do we expect so much from something immediate from a summit? Why?
Dennis, you know, anyone who's listening to me on this program tonight will be very surprised of what I'm saying. You know, to be very frank with you, I think going to Korea was a good move. Like Aliu said, it's like putting your best foot forward for a government that is just coming to power. And what I want us to realize here is that, you know, I think going back to what Jimmy tried to stress, I think our issue is not that it's not that we cannot go out to these meetings and solicit support. I think our problem is that we do not know what we really want. You know, and when I'm saying what we do not know what we really want, I mean in the minute details of what we want, and have it properly laid out so that we are able to sell it, and then people are able to buy it. You know, I gave the example. I listened to the speech of the president, right, in the investment summit, in the investment conference that was held for Liberia. And President Boakai talked about we have rainforest. He talked about we have young people. He talked about we have a fertile soil. He talked about everything else other than saying these are our clear-cut, you know, a plan that needs to be funded, either 500,000 or 1 million or 2 million or 3 million. This is another plan. This is a plan for ITC, for information technology. It's planned for 2 million. This is another plan for electricity. It's planned for 50 million. This is another plan for agriculture for 500 million. And these plans are well laid out and articulated in a way that an investor can look there and say, I can sign off to this. I give you Ghana, for example. Ghana learned from that summit with $1 billion in the areas of agriculture, in the areas of energy, in the area of ITC, in the area of one more area I'm forgetting, in education. You know, they got $1 billion. I'm not saying MOU. $1 billion a deal.
Yeah, but Dr. Person, what happened is
that's not a problem.
That did not start at the conference. That negotiation probably started with the same MOU. So
that's what I'm saying. So you know that one. You know, remember when I said that there's something called pre and then post. You know, is there any typical Liberian? When you tell Liberian men who having meeting today at 6, they will not plan nothing, no agenda, no notes, and then they come to the meeting. And then when in the meeting, we say, okay, let's start a meeting. Say, okay, let me see what the agenda will be like, or let me see if I can jot down some notes. Before you even get to that meeting, your ministers should have been ahead of you. Your conversations should have been held in advance. When you get to that meeting, your plans, costed plans, should be on the table in that investment summit. The investors should have portfolio in their hands, stating as what the plan say and what the plan costs and what their investment will give them in return. Like Jimmy says, if the man sees a plan in his hand and he tells, this is what you want to do, this is what it's going to cost, and if you invest this amount, this is what you're going to get out of it, and this is the modalities in the entire plan, the man will sit right there and sign off on it. But if the man doesn't see the plan, he said, okay, we'll do an MOU, and then we can see the detail of the plan.
I said, I'm going to sign on the plan. You have to even go to where the plan is going to be implemented.
Exactly.
But the way no one's going to sign a plan just because you have it in your hand. You came to a meeting with it.
Okay, so you remember we mentioned two categories here. Before the summit happens, these summits don't happen overnight. These summits are planned in advance. And if you know what you want and plan for it, you negotiate in advance. And when you get to the deal, how did Ghana work out of that meeting with a deal signed for $1 billion? How did Ghana work out of there? Covering infrastructure, covering agriculture, covering health, covering education, covering energy, covering roads.
And what says that the MOU we signed, what says that there's not a possibility that we may get $2 billion from it?
Like everybody's saying, like Sherry said, MOU is not a binding contract.
No, that's not a question. The question is, what says that it's not possible that we get $2 billion from it?
Yeah, it's
that's nothing.
If I can come in.
That's the very reason we need to wait. And just don't get the government like, oh, this is not. No, that's why we need to wait.
Father Washington, it's possible that we get 0 out of this.
It's also possible that we get 3.
It's possible you get something out of this, but it's very likely that you get nothing out of this after 3 or 4 years.
So after 3 or 4 years. Hold on, one at a time.
After 3 or 4 years, we're going to be sitting around asking, but nobody's going to remember Korea. We're going to move on to the next country. Maybe it's going to be the Turkish Africa Summit, or the Russia Africa Summit, or the Uzbekistan African Summit. Some kind of summit where they'll be summoning our African leaders and offering them, all kinds of promises, making all kinds of promises to them, in return for investment opportunities, which sometimes never come through. Look, I'd like to go back to something that Jimmy mentioned. As long as you are an exporter, the mangoes that you plant, you don't even have factories to produce mango juice, or the ginger farm that you have, you don't even have the facilities to produce ginger beers and stuff like that you can export. As long as you are heavily dependent on these corporations that are investing in our country and are exploiting our resources and taking our raw materials to Europe and America and elsewhere, we're going to still be underdeveloped. We're going to be backing them. And the other thing is that I'd like to mention is that these companies, for example, the logging companies, when I was a child, I used to live around a logging company. These logging companies are damaging our infrastructure. They're damaging our roads, and they don't contribute to the building, to the construction of these road facilities. And there's something needs to be done. Like the senators and representatives, they're sleeping on some of these things that, they need to make sure that there are proper laws to hold these people accountable for the damage that they're doing to our roads and bridges and whatnot. And that has not even been discussed in the greater scheme of things.
Thank you.
Hey, Dennis, can I come in for a second?
You'll be the last on this.
Yeah, Dennis, that the problem will get in Liberia, Dennis. Then we can talk. Then we get idea by way. When we're sitting down on it, we can talk, Dennis. Then who's stopping my own brother over there, Sherry, from carrying machine to Labrador to process plum juice? all we're doing here is we just talk. Dennis, we got Liberian millionaires. In some countries, $30 million can build a full solar plant to supply more than 2-3 counties. $30 million. Those assessments have been made. All Liberia want now handle $50 million for their side. They only want to be president. You had an Indian man go to Wela and set up a company to process rubber, to add value to rubber. Liberian people can't carry their own there, but they start fighting the man. Gentlemen, Liberian problem is in Liberia. We can sit down whole day with talk, but the other president went to the other president play, what did he brought? The other president went to the other president play, what did he brought? Jimmy Eastman here can condemn, blah, 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 blah. Jimmy Eastman, he said industry, build industry. Industry, you need water, you need electricity, you also need manpower, human capacity. How many Liberians can actually operate your industry? So these are places where you go with your expertise and help. My people love go with help.
I want to see where he's going with it.
I know he this way and that way. Which way? I want you to land.
Yeah, let him land. But individuals here, we should carry companies and build a power plant or.
What I'm saying is the energy I'm using right now, my brother, the energy I'm using right now, they're not the state of Maryland get an energy company. It's a corporation, group of Americans that got an energy company, and they're supplying the whole of Maryland. So what I'm telling you is, why can't we put our money where our mouth is? How many years we've been talking from 1820? We still just talking. The woman will get small money, will buy Bentley, we get invested. We have no methodology. We have no methodology to invest. We come to America, we work 20 years, 30 years. We carry no investment.
You know, Aliyu, that's disingenuous, and I will tell you why. We had several factories. Do you want me to name the factories we had in Liberia? Iron factory, nail factory, cement factory, rubber sneaker factory, clothes factory.
My brother, you're talking about we had.
We were producing before. Do not say we never did anything. We are in a new era. And this era is using lame, weak excuses like AI to show we're bringing Caterpillar and we're not bringing MOU that we don't even know the details of the MOU. These are superficial methods of showing that you're doing government. You have to do concrete measures. That's what I'm saying, Aliyu. You have to make concrete strides where they could concentrate, even if they didn't have 1 cent. Let's stop fixing the abuse of law and order in the country. Because when you get law and order, investors will be encouraged to come. When you get law and order, things will go on. Liberians will know they will not lose their money if they come. When you get law and order, things start going in the right direction. There are little things we can do, and we can measure them. But these artificial advertisement, and Mr. Washington, I got some swampland I won't tell you in River says if you're interested. So, I mean, why is all this fakeness? Let's do some real stuff.
You know what when I listened to your first analysis, a lot of things that you want. The first thing you said, the government. I'm not defending the government, but sometimes when I listen to people, I like to listen to what they say. The first thing you said, the government made promise. They didn't make any promise. That's not correct. The government with a yellow machine, that was not a promise. That was a projection of what they intend to do. That was not a promise. That was the first thing you said. The second thing about the MOU was that, hey, but no one said MOUs are agreement. No, everybody knows that it's not an agreement, but it's a step in the right direction. This is what we tend to do, and then we're going to follow and see whether it works out or not. So,
Dennis, Aliu mentioned my name. So Aliu, I'll throw the challenge out to you. Please join me so you and I can open a manufacturer. I'm very serious. Can you join me so that we will operate a manufacturer where we will employ Liberians? I'm very serious about that. And so, I don't come here to joke and play, but some guys, guys like yourself, come on these forums to be very recalcitrant about everything. You're non-flexible about the administration. I'm the type of person that I look at the positives and highlight the positives. I look at the goodness in people. I look at the goodness in this administration, other administrations, and highlight those things. I also look at the weaknesses and the challenges and why not, and explain that to the Liberian people. Jimmy said it right. You are very disingenuous. You're one of those guys that you whatever it is with you and Boakai, it's like you're never ever going to say anything to the contrary, and that's disingenuous as an analyst. And so we're sitting here having a serious discussion, and you're talking about Bentley, you're talking about all these different things. I mean, come on, give me a break. Give me a break.
Let me come in for a second. Let me just come in for a second.
Okay, this time give me 30 seconds, we'll move on.
I need 30 seconds.
Dennis, everything I say here, I know my brother left big English business. Yeah, when I thought of big English, everything I said here is very pragmatic. No country that you see in Asia that changed from 0 to 80, 90, they were not working for the government. They are diaspora.
I will cut you off.
That's a lie. It's not true.
Let me learn that.
It's not true.
Let me learn that.
It's not true.
They are diaspora.
Don't let it even learn.
Right. No, but the premise is wrong.
Yeah.
But let me learn first.
Individuals just get up and start doing something.
But let me learn. Let me learn. Give me my 30 seconds back, man, please. Look, listen.
I can decide when to cut the 30 seconds off.
Okay, wait. The diasporian. If you go to Ghana today,
please don't go there. There's somebody have to make that environment.
But let me learn.
We have to move on because.
But you gotta let me learn. You got to let me learn. And this is unfair to me.
He's not prepared. He's not prepared for this debate.
Let me address. Let me say my own nonsense. What I was saying. At least allow me to say it. Okay.
No,
now, listen. Dennis.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The government cannot build your factories for you. The government can lay the condition.
That's what we're talking about.
But we're not Dennis now. This government is laying the foundation. This is what they are combing. All of these different agencies that are responsible for good governance. If you go to the Good Governance Commission now, there's a lot of work being done there. All the other agencies, some of the agencies that were almost there, okay, like the National Bureau of Concessions. These guys, they're war there. They're all fighting to bring these things up. Now, if we would just be talking and no footprint, nothing, but we're just talking. Not to talk is one thing, but to just consistently criticize. I'm coming to the point where I will condemn this government on certain issues. I called your show yesterday and criticized the government on certain issues. But what are we doing too? That's what I want to know.
They never criticize.
Let me get 30 seconds. Then I'll take 30 seconds.
Thank you.
30 seconds.
No, hold on before you come in, because I've heard this. I've been doing this thing now, for some years now. That argument that diaspora people. You can just get up and go if government doesn't say so. Uganda, I have a friend here. She was a family friend who was with me here. The people of Uganda, they went in the diaspora and said, even if you can make Cllr, come. And they were able to recruit people, and they laid the framework for that. They put money into it. During President Salif or President Weah time, they have my own friend Kuangba was the guy for the diaspora. What have we seen being built? In fact, for diaspora people to be citizen, dual citizen, it took us how many years? But quickly. So this whole idea that, we the people, we are at fault. I mean, look at what they are doing in the end. We'll come to the senators and the representatives. And you say, we the one.
You always
I don't have anything about it. Take it from me.
Let me get out 30 seconds. Let me get out 30 seconds, Dennis.
Yeah, go ahead with the 30 seconds.
I think Aliyu is being unfair to diaspora Liberians. I can't mince my words on this. Aliyu, you got to come better to defend this government. Now, listen. Consider how many companies that even came during the alien regime that was encouraged to come and couldn't even stay because of the environment. All right. Imagine how many times our legislature, every time there's a turnover in the legislature, that they have to review all concession companies and start to turmoil other people's agreements, concession agreements. Imagine how many Liberians are trying to carry containers to Liberia and find so many bottlenecks until they can better manage the surcharges on those containers. My wife wanted to do business. She runs a shipping business. They gave her so much hard time she had to quit the business. I literally tried to carry 2 vehicles in Liberia to my businesses I have there. I was so hecked up with the 2 vehicles. I pay more than I bought I pay in surcharge. I pay more than I paid to buy the vehicles in the United States of America. To ship it and to free from the port, I paid twice the amount I bought it for in the United States.
Work is being done to take care of all of that.
Dr. Pearson, Dr. Pearson, Dr. Pearson, I'm not trying to lecture you anything that you don't know, right?
Right.
You have to pay for your vehicle, but the senators don't have to pay for theirs. They have the representatives and senators have duty-free privileges. Duty-free privileges for these people for what? For what?
And ArcelorMittal, they can bring in anything. They don't have to pay anything.
Duty-free privileges.
Companies, they don't have to. But I'm sending books to my junior high in Sino. No, books that people donated to me.
Right.
Anyway, let's move on to our next issue here. This is Friday night debate, and let's debate about Councillor Gongloe.
Yeah, matter of fact, I got 3 schools in Liberia that I run for less fortunate children. Every material I send, I have to pay against those materials. I even had to pay taxes on my schools and my church. When I had to find out, I asked the LRA, why would they say I should pay taxes for my instructors? They said because anyone working in Liberia has to pay tax, and the instructors are making less than $20 US a month. They say I should pay taxes on there, or they will not give my school permit.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
And they say you should pay tax on your church because they don't trust your salvation or what?
I tried to push back on that, but I didn't get any. I didn't get any response to that, and we have to pay the back payments that I mentioned.
Church schools are non-for-profit. You shouldn't be paying tax for them in Liberia.
Yeah, I shouldn't be paying them, but I pay.
Yeah, but because sometimes people abuse these privileges, and they say they sell anything for schools, but they use it for profit. So sometimes we gotta be very clear what we say. I've seen situations where people said they were selling things for school, non-profit things, but this thing ended to be in the market, and they were selling it and were making profit from out of it.
Oh, but yeah, you got senators importing cars and selling them on the market, right? You got representatives importing cars duty-free and selling them on the market, and that's okay.
No,
it's so unacceptable.
No.
It's so unacceptable that you guys are just sitting
I don't
here.
like this argument. I just said
okay,
we should not make it for profit making. So even are those senators who use their offices and bring in cars for people to sell. So that's also wrong.
Well,
but senators are doing it. Let's not make it to be right.
Let's move on.
For profit. If the register the business are not for profit,
let's move on to our second issue here, which is the criticism of Councillor Tiawan Say Gongloe on the Boakai administration. If you read the report, he's holding their feet to the fire. Remember, he ran on the LPP ticket, and his party endorsed Boakai, President Boakai, and so he's criticizing now, right? Here is what he's saying, and I want you to tell me whether you agree with Councillor Gongloe or not, and why or why not. Number one, he said the Boakai-led Unity Party government has violated the PFM law by concealing the source of the funds to purchase the 285 yellow machines. He also said the Boakai administration reported within the national budget only 45 million has money to be borrowed in 2024, instead of disclosing the actual amount of 296 million. He also said the Unity Party is breaching the 10-in position statute, which it created during its previous regime, and criticized the Weah administration for violating it. He also said the mandate given to the asset recovery team has an ad hoc body undermines the function of the LACC. There are people in government who have already served for 5 months without declaring assets, and there is no assurance that some of these assets declared are government assets they are controlling. He said this government is making the same mistake as the Weah government. Let me start with Aliu. Does Councillor Gongloe have a point? I don't know if you read the article.
Yeah, Councillor Gongloe has a point. He's an opposition leader. It is his right to speak. However, what I would say about some of the things he said, they're debatable. Assets recovery, for example, the head is also a lawyer. Is he willing to preside over something that is illegal, even though the president has executive rights to do certain things by executive order? So again, Councillor Gongloe, I always said to people, if Councillor Gongloe and Jeremiah Khan were in a race, I would rather go with Councillor Gongloe. However, I don't know for a fact if everything that he is saying here is actually true. I think they're debatable. We've seen him win cases. We've also seen him lose cases. So some of the things he said are really, really debatable. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you.
The source of the 285 yellow machine, they didn't disclose it.
Yeah, but we don't know. The government have not come up. The government have not made any official statement of buying yellow machines, though. You know, so if the government have bought yellow machines, they say the government hates something. The government didn't buy anything.
So what did the government
he's
do
just
with
been a
yellow
politician.
machine?
Huh?
What did the government do with yellow machine? Borrow them or what?
There is not force anything here. The government have not spoken. Let me tell you.
And when you say government, what you mean? Because
the information minister said there is
let's start with Mamaka Belete first.
Okay. Mamaka Belete video, again, Mamaka Belete is a minister of state without portfolio. Mamaka Belete is not a spokesperson of the Liberian government. The information minister said there is no yellow machine anywhere. All right? So let's go.
The person responsible for special projects, the person responsible for projects, because the minister without portfolio can be assigned anything. So that's the work she was assigned. She did it and said, here's the report. These things
no, what we are saying, there was no report. No, what we are telling you is she did not submit any report anywhere. So it's not official.
So it's a lie.
Well, I didn't say that. What I'm telling you is it's not official. It's not of the government's making.
So what in
what did that is?
No, you're talking about that. I want you to come up, you know, where you agree with Gongloe and where you disagree.
Well, the yellow machine thing, I disagree with him. The asset recovery thing, I disagree with him. I am saying that, technically speaking, I disagree. However, he's a knowledgeable guy. So he has reason to speak because he's an opposition politician. But technically speaking, I don't agree with anything he said.
Thank you. Dr. Pearson.
You know, to be frank, when I listen to Ali, I feel very embarrassed for Liberia. And this is where people come up and they start to lash at me. You know, incompetence, lack of leadership, inconsistency are bad for any government. And then Ali will come back and tell us why people don't want to invest in Liberia. If I'm an investor sitting now in South Africa right now, and you have sent me a special envoy who I have received and we've negotiated and we've made a deal for 285 yellow machines, and then the person goes back and says, I'm taking the good news back to my country, and then come in a ministerial conference. In a ministerial conference, where all the cabinet is seated and the president of the Republic of Liberia is seated. And then the person makes a presentation and says that we have negotiated and these materials are on the way. And everybody gave a clap of celebration for that negotiation. Only to come back and backtrack on that, that's bad for business. Pretty bad for business. Gongloe. You know what? Gongloe made some very good points. We mentioned on the very show here once before that the asset recovery desire is a good thing, but the start was false. And you know, they went in the wrong direction. First of all, they politicized the entire asset recovery process. That is a professional team. And if our Boakai, if our president of the Republic of Liberia, and I'm not, the first thing I've done was to sit with the Liberian Anti-Corruption Commission and have a conversation. How does this, come in line with your ability to investigate and your rights to prosecute people who've corrupt our country? And then if I want to have a special team that will be more specialized and focus on this particular role, then I set up that body within an existing structure, which was both strengthen it and then both use its immediate capacity. And then, and I think Gongloe is right. We blunder there, and that the whole thing is in shambles. That's another shame and failure in leadership. Now we come to the issue about you mentioned Dennis that has to do with he mentioned thing about corrupt. No, he mentioned corruption. He said he wants to see a revolution on corruption, and then he said initially Liberian politics have been driven towards ensuring that we have a multi-party system and right to vote. And then he said now is the time to curb corruption. But this is the same corruption that Samuel Doe killed Turbo for and considered rampant corruption. This is the same corruption that Charles Taylor came to fight Doe for as well and said Doe was corrupt. This is the same thing that led Charles Taylor and gang out of the country because he was also corrupt. This is the thing that we accused Madam Ellen Johnson for, that she said she couldn't curb corruption and then she was a failure in that area. There's the same thing that George Weah accused him of. Now, there's the same thing Boakai in less than 6 months is responsible now for over $23 million that is unaccounted for, all in quote-unquote corruption scandal, starting with the party chairman, going down to Grisby, going down to the 22 million, going down to Nukar. So what are we talking here? The young man is right. The only thing I see there is that Gongloe, and if he's listening to this program, I will say this, job. Gongloe is a lawyer. He should go beyond rhetoric. As a counselor at law, if you see things going wrong in the country, you have a stake. You are personally injured. By matter of law, you can go to court. So he should be taking more proactive measures and going to court if he thinks things are going out of hand in the country, rather than just going and making political statement, because the political statement does not help us. And
he got to prove that he's been injured. How can he prove that the yellow machine is injured by that?
Let me give this, right. Let me give this statement. Grisby going to take $300,000 from Nukar and not be in authority to make that request. He injured the country.
How can Gongloe prove that he's been injured by that?
Well, I'm not a lawyer, hands down, but I can tell you for a fact that there is a possibility that corruption, any Liberian can sue its government for acts of corruption.
Thank you. You have to prove it that you've been injured.
I think the injury. I think the part of the injury has to do with the fact that Gongloe has worked in that country before. He has his money with NASCAR. If somebody goes there and takes his money away, that's injury to him.
Yeah, the law doesn't work like that.
Exactly.
The law.
I'm gonna say I got money.
I get my money somewhere. That's supposed to wait. I supposed to get somebody to go take it for them. Put it back. He said, "Long, where?"
No. If you have proof that the person took your money, but because you have your money at Wells Fargo, so anytime they rob Wells Fargo, then you can go sue and say, "Well, since my money there, so you took my money." So I don't know how you're gonna prove that. But
let me come in on this.
We need a lawyer for that one, I guess.
Let me allow me to come in for this topic, and I want to tell you what the comrade is saying. Gongloe and myself were in LU together. I know that I understand. I met very well. what that man was saying, if I should surmise, that we need transparency in government because transparency improves government efficiency and effectiveness. He said, go on the side and get the money from what they call NASCAR. Saying you borrowed to 240 million, but you actually borrowed to all these things going to undermine the government. It's going to reduce the public confidence in the government. They have to be transparent. That's why he said they're making a mistake. So as long as you're not very transparent in your transactions, you are undermining yourself, reducing public trust, and reducing the efficiency and effectiveness of your government. So all those things, his criticism, all come down to you people have to be very, very transparent and follow the law to the letter to set an example for leadership so that other will fall in place. This going behind a house and making D behind a house and coming back in front of us and telling us that is not going to cut it. You already started to make these mistakes. The other government made the same mistakes, and you are beginning to make the same mistakes. All these clandestine operations, cutting corners, not going through the proper channel to approve loans or contracts. This is the same mistake. This is the same trap all of the people fall in. And he's just making a clarion note now to them that you are falling in the same, as the Frenchman say, tomber dans le même sale drap. You're falling in the same trap. Okay? That's what he's saying.
Do you agree with Councillor Gongloe here?
It's a warning. That's all he's giving. He's giving a warning. You're going in the same trap. You're falling in the same trap. Stop it.
Bring in Father Washington. Father Washington, what do you make of that, Councillor Gongloe's criticism? Listen, or warning, as Jimmy would say.
Listen to this. People like us, I mean, since this government came to power, been sleeping well because I said it from day one that nothing fundamental was going to be changed. Was going to be changed with this government. Nothing. And what even makes me angry more and more when I listen to Boakai, he keeps talking about we are living by we are serving by the example. Show me the example. What is the example? You know, we serving by example. We want to change this country. Show me one thing that you're changing. It's the same business as usual. I don't see anything fundamental is changing. And I said it from day one that if Boakai gets there, I think it's going to change. It's going to be the same thing. But every day he keeps saying, we want to. I mean, show me one thing that you've changed. I mean, the other day he was talking on the other day when he went to Bomi or Kipma, he talked about the fact that the BA, how they call it, Western Clause, so we got to make sure we close Western Clause. I was excited, I'm like, hey, I said one time that this guy is not somebody who is a reformer, but now I see that 3 days after, what happens? We go back to square one. And, what else?
200,000. What happened? 200,000.
Yeah. I mean, so for me, the people who did believe in him and said that he would come bring substantial change, he hasn't. For Gongloe, a lot of things he said, and, for me, I think makes a lot of sense, and I agree. There was one thing he said about in his criticism about the government was not inclusive. I think that was one other thing he said, and that's where, for me, I've always said it. I don't believe in this whole thing about you got to bring 50 cool people, 10 regular people. I don't believe in it. What I believe in, I just believe in a team that works. I believe in a team that works. If I can get 50 people or all my government can come from Nima and I'm going to fulfill what I say I would do, I don't mind. For me, it's because we come from a country where people think that, the only way to be able to sustain your life is to be able to work for government. So therefore, my son will also be there. My brother will be there too. Why you put your brother there? For me, I don't believe in this kind of thing. I just believe in, I believe in protected. I believe that work should be done. And whoever is there to do it, let him do it. So for me, but I think a lot of things he say, I think would make sense. And I don't know, for me, I just, this government keep making mistakes from mistake over mistakes. Because one thing I said the first day I saw this government, when he came from the United States and going back to Liberia, the chaos that I saw from the airport, then to the church, and I see no organization. It's the same thing that keeps repeating itself. So for me, when people keep talking about, the government keep making mistakes, I said, that's what they're going to do. That's where because the people who they put in place are people who can do the things they say they're going to do. So Liberia just going to keep it's going to be the virtual soccer, and that's what that's going to keep happening. So, I mean, nothing is going to change, seriously.
Thank you. Mr. Sharif, Councillor Gongloe has come down hard on the GNB administration. What do you make of his criticism, his observation?
Yeah, I think that if I will come close to Leo on this one. Look, sometimes opposition people are opposition. They're going to be opposition. And my problem with the opposition is you're not tackling the root of this problem. How many times I've said that, this thing is bigger than Boakai. This thing was bigger than George Weah. We should have realized that. So when you have representatives sitting in offices for 6 years, you have senators sitting there for 9 years, presidents 6 years, these are too long. The opposition, this very opposition, campaigned against George Weah when George Weah called for a reduction in terms. Do we remember that? This was like 2,000 years ago, and these opposition did nothing. And so Gongloe included. So the question to Gongloe is, one of these days, if you have him on this show, ask him why did he campaign against that? Why is he not going around the country creating a movement to ensure that the terms of senators are reduced and representatives? Because the frequency of election then is a way of holding these people accountable. Okay, and then to his recent criticism of the administration. He talked about the 285 yellow machines. Yes, I hear that criticism. But then what is his solution for building these roads, for rehabbing these roads? He offered no solution in that direction. So we're not going to...
Mr. Sharif, he's saying the solution to build roads, he's for it. But what he's saying is...
What is his solution, Dennis?
The Cllr or where you got the money from to buy the 285 yellow machines. That was his criticism.
Transparency.
So if the administration says, I think I heard one of the speakers, I think was Dr. Pearson, if the administration says, look, this was a gift from the South African company that we're about to do business with, I think the problem is communication. So
the problem is transparency, as Jimmy said.
If it had been communicated this way, to say, we're making contracts with a South African-based company that's offering this to the Liberian people, not even us, to the Liberian people, I think that would be a lot better than to remain silent and backtrack on this, because you backtrack on this is a good deal for Liberia. Look, if I don't know how much this will cost, let's say it's $30 million. So what is the South African company have given this $30 million to the president's office? Hush, hush, don't let anybody know this. Or to the senators and representatives, don't let anybody know this. And they sit there and divide this among themselves. I mean, we won't be talking about this. But we're talking about this because now the machines are large, equipment. These are resources that everybody's looking at. I don't have a problem with these. We even need 400 or 500 machines in Liberia. We need to continuously fix these roads, as long as you have, the rainy season in Liberia. We will need to continue to rehab these roads until they're tarred. If these roads, if they were paved, right, is what I'm trying to say. If they were paved, and why not, which is a long-term plan, I guess, then we would not be talking about some of these things. I don't, that part of the criticism without offering a solution. So if the government comes tomorrow and say, look, the South African gave it to us, then what? Okay, so I don't agree with him on that. I agree with him on some of the things, but I don't agree with him on most of this. Opposition is going to be...
He also said about asset declaration, that they have not declared their asset.
Yeah.
He said the mandate given to the asset recovery team, that's the function of the LACC. And we see that.
That's right. That's right. He's right on that.
And then he said the Unity Party is breaching the turning position statute which it created. And so he called that a mockery of the fight against corruption.
So you have another president. You have Boakai, who is vice president under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who supported tenure. Now, Boakai does not support tenure, so he waited his term. Now he's fighting against tenure. So
no, he didn't say that. He didn't say that. He just appointed new people. Or, for instance, my friend Dr. Yuri, he just got tenure for 7 years, right? So he's not doing away with tenure. He's only putting different people.
Boakai has. I think what I'm understanding is that Boakai is fighting against tenure, right? But this cabal that I talked about yesterday, this
do you have that same impression that Boakai is against tenure?
I do have that impression. This corrupt elite that is
that's a fact.
And the corrupt elite is in our judiciary. The corrupt elite is in our legislature. This corrupt elite is in the education sector. This corrupt elite is in civil society, and this corrupt elite, this cabal is not giving Boakai the opportunity to do what he wants to do on corruption. I do believe that. I do believe that Boakai's heart is in the right place when it comes to some of the things that he talked about, like Rose. Let's be honest. But in Liberia, this is an entrenched elite that you have to go against. And going against these people is not easy, because sooner or later they're in the opposition, this corrupt elite, they're in the judiciary, they're everywhere. They're going to tie you down. And Boakai, if he doesn't have the reflexes and whatnot, I mean, we're going to be talking about this for the next 6 years and nothing will happen. And so it will sadden me to see that 6 years will be wasted on people talking about, the rights on this, and this and that and the other. Because the moment these opposition power pressure, the ruling party is also listening to some of these opposition figures. That's why criticism like this, you have to follow up with tangible solution, long-term solution that will be something concrete to the Liberian people. Everything that he offered there would not put bread and butter on the table of the Liberian people.
Thank you. But to sum it up, as Jimmy put it, all he's saying is be transparent.
Yeah, look, Dennis.
So that's a solution, right?
Dennis, that's not a long-term solution to our problem. Our problems are intractable right now. So if you say be transparent, and Boakai comes out tomorrow morning and say, okay, you know what? I'm going to tell you now, we got the machines from South Africa. And then what?
Then we use it. That's what we want. Yeah, that's
then we move on.
Okay, then we move. Is that it? Is that it? I mean, my question is that it?
No, then we prosecute them. We prosecute them for not following the PPCC law.
There you go again.
No, but the point is that's where it goes back to the transparency. We want to know where he's from, and if it's good, let us know.
If we want to know, and to answer that, after we get a machine, we want to know how they are used, where they are used, what are their productivity. Transparent doesn't just stop at home.
Jimmy, Joshua,
what he's trying to say, do not start with clandestine operations.
Jimmy,
start transparent and continue.
Can I come in for a second?
Jimmy, Josh Weah flew on a private jet. Up to now, do we know where that private jet came from? We don't even. He didn't disclose it, so now he's going by his way.
That's the problem, right? And in fact, let me announce that next week we're going to be debating the first 5 months of Josh Weah versus the first 5 months of President Boakai. So one of those things is the private jet. The first 5 months of President Weah, he had a private jet, he said, to boost his morale. First 5 months of President Boakai, he flew to Guinea-Bissau on a private jet, allegedly or supposedly paid for by the Guinea-Bissau president. So we're going to be comparing. So let's wait for next Friday, because at that time, President Boakai will be 5 months old in office. Mr. Kamara, please close on this.
Yeah, you see, the mistake we're making here is that their budgetary allotment for these things. In the budget, there is a certain amount of money allocated for the Ministry of Public Works, and in that same in that same vein, we also have the road funds that can be used for whatever way, just to build roads. Not to forget, Joseph Boakai has 52 million to his disposal. Can be presidential project. What we are saying to you is, it's not that a yellow machine will not come. It's not that a yellow machine has not been arranged. However, the formalities has to be official in order for the government to announce to you. As long as the government have not announced to you, Councillor Tawan Gongloe, that they have bought yellow machines to officially, is a waste of voice.
So, I don't know, Mr. Sherry, can you help? Explain that that announcement is from the government, the one we watched at the ministerial complex?
That's from the government. I mean, the government announced that. So Mamaka Ability is the minister in the government. She announced it. So this is a government announcement. And now the infighting with the Minister of Information, who wants everything to go through him, all information to go through his office, you know, and he kicked against it and all these. And next thing you know, all these people are up in arms about, you know, the right procedure. The right procedure.
Hold on. After that machine, after it was announced at the ministerial complex during that meeting, President Boakai also responded.
That's why.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the president wanted to visit.
I think we can talk about agriculture all day. But you have to get there. You have to be able to go there. We have rich soil, but they're not accessible. These machines, they even proposed they wanted to put my photo on there. I said, no, just put the thing Liberia, I love Liberian people. That's the idea. How can you be in a country and every time you complain about bad road, as if to say you didn't know the road was going to be bad. And so I'm going to be able to do agriculture if you can't get to the field. So when the machine comes, let the water tell me you can't raise the money to pay for it. And people will be the one who will decide. But we got to open this country for development.
Yes.
Yeah, he didn't say machine.
You hear the applause.
If the machine come.
You hear the applause. You hear the excitement in the voices of the people. This is real. This is real.
We all are very intelligent people.
But what
we know when we see and we know what we hear. All right. Boakai and his administration did acknowledge that was in the make. The only problem that they held back is because of accountability in terms of procedure. So now I want to see how you guys will flip it to come back and say, okay, yeah, is it now? That's the only thing that's holding you guys down. So let's see how you guys are going to show that. And I can tell you for a fact, there's nothing wrong with you going to access machineries for the country. But then the transparency and accountability is what you need to show that there's something different in the country than we had before. You said the president has a $50 million budget. The president may have a $50 million budget, but it doesn't mean he can spend it any way in any which way he want to spend our accountability. He cannot do that. We need to have responsible leadership.
So Mr. Kamara, transparency must come after, not in front.
No, but man, the people ain't buy no machine. You heard a man say if the machine can't, if double C, he can't raise money to buy it. They haven't bought any machine. What transparency are we talking about?
He said they wanted to put his picture on it. He said no.
Exactly.
In Liberia. So are you saying all this, no machines anywhere? They just
no. What I'm saying to you is, there's a prospect, there's a projection, there's an idea.
Boakai said these things are on the water already coming.
Let me speak from the perspective of Joseph Boakai. Mamaka Ability might have been excited. It's a big news. It's a big development. She felt achieved. Yes, we don't fault her for that. But if you listen to Joe Boakai in that stuff, it's all prospect. He didn't say we have it. He even said if it comes, let Double Jala tell me he cannot raise the money to
So what they were putting his picture on? The prospect?
No, listen. All of these things were all suggestions. They were suggesting that when they get the machine, they should put his picture on it. He said, no, don't put my picture on it. It doesn't mean they have the machine. They don't have the machine.
We accept
Thank you.
the
Arrangement is not formalized. It's not finalized.
It's a terrible.
Then why make it a national announcement? Something that
And then I agree with you on that, yes, man. That was the problem.
I
want us to move on.
Aliu, you suggesting that the president did not see this video until in our meeting. You suggesting the
That's not
president.
what I suggested. I didn't suggest nothing. I said what I said.
Yeah, but you see, listen. Then you are a poor PR personnel.
No problem.
It's not a PR. It's not a PR for this guy his opinion. It's not a PR for. But let's move on to our.
Aliu will be PR, please.
Let's move on to our last point here, which is the retreats. I know retreat when we took over. Our team took over Lama, that's the Liberian community here in Metro Atlanta. We had a retreat so that we could sit down and strategize and do our mission, vision, and everything else. Now, retreat is a good thing. The Senate having their retreat, also the House. There was some confusion on the money. So what happens, the Senate Pro Tem came up to clarify that indeed we have the retreat, but we spend 50,000 even. You know, somebody says only in Liberia that everything is even. It's out of 50. There's no sense. It's all 50,000, 47,000, 200,000, 30,000. Right. So this is the amount we spend. But there are still people contending that hey, it's more than this. Why? And they were only reacting to reports that they had. Each of them received 13,000. The Senate also admitted that yes, they got their constituency fee of 10,000 for each senator, including the senator who came in from the by-elections in Nimba County. 10,000 for each senator, multiply that by 30, that's 300,000. If you add the 50, and according to the report, they received this money within the same week of the retreat. So it's very easy for people, maybe for people to confuse that. But let's look at the retreat. Let's look at what they are getting for the retreat, the money, and the House of Representatives also planning their own retreat. Father Washington, let me start with you on this one.
You know, the word is a retreat comes from an old French word retreat, but without the A. We talks about drawback, and when you look into the religious cycle, retreat is a way that you go back and take stock of the past and then plan for the future. And for me, this whole thing in Liberia about cabinet retreat or maybe the legislative retreat is just a way of stealing from the people. It's just a way of just kind of saying we just use a scam to be able to get, put ourselves somewhere where we can be able to divide our money and nobody would know. And, we just say somewhere pretending that we're doing something. So at the end of the day, we can have something. Just a sign. It's just sickening for our country. They're a very poor country. Now, somebody was saying they're having a retreat. What is the essence? The essence is to take stock of the past, see what we can see for the future. Do you need to even spend a week, or do you even need to go? You don't even need to go anywhere to do a retreat. You can stay right in that place and do a retreat. And so what have you achieved? To me, I think that's the whole thing about retreat. There's no retreat. It's just a way of dividing money. It's a way of finding a way. If we do it if we put the term retreat over it, then people can think we're doing something. But if we just leave it like distribute about the money, they will know something's going. So they use the word retreat, then we can use that way. So I think it's just a small screen to be able to steal from the people that we can always do, and they will never change. These are the people supposed to change our country. This is a rescue mission. This is a new visionary people who are coming in and going to change the look of our country, and our country is going to look better. But this is what they're going to do. So for me, I think it's just a sad thing for our country that the very young people who say they are progressive, who are looking forward, and the very people who just kind of keep destroying the country and just keep stealing from the people, just go there. $50,000 for the retreat? Something that you just sit down just to just look forward and see where you are and what progress you want to make. You can even do on a Zoom call. You don't even need to go to a place where you need to pay money to sit somewhere. So why are they wasting all that money? But that's the country you have. And then we cry and go to other people's country and go and beg them for money so that they can come and help us. But we have the money right there. And they will just keep wasting it, keep stealing it. It's still a sad for our country. So for me, that's no retreat. It's just a venue to just kind of distribute or steal money from the Liberian people.
Okay, let me show what the pro tem said, the purpose of the retreat, and where the money went. It said the retreat was attended by 108 persons, including senators, securities, and the drivers, support staff, protocol officers, director of department, retreat secretariat, and facilitators. Was organized with the aim of setting the Senate legislative agenda, focusing on transparency and accountability and audits of the Senate, decentralization of the budget, including programs, digitization of the Senate, and a review of the Senate rules, among others. The Liberian Senate wishes to state that, contrary to the exaggerated figure reported by some individuals and media entities, the total cost of the 4-day retreat is $50,000. This amount covers accommodation for all attendees, rental of conference halls, catering services, daily subsistence allowance for all support staff, excluding the senators, transportation, secretarial services, security arrangements. Aleo.
Yes, sir. Dennis, I will start by saying that what Liberia needs right now is a dictator. Our problem is this so-called Republican form of government. Dennis, this is not for us.
So let's say we have President Weah has a dictator. Would that be good?
No, but Weah doesn't have a clue, so that would be it'll be catastrophic.
Oh, okay. So Liberia does not need a dictator.
But then let me speak there. That's why I need you on this show, because I told you get jiggled. But listen, I learned this thing from Paul Kagame. I saw his style of leadership. Dennis, if you look back, you realize that most of our dictators in Africa held their countries down. When I say held the country down, I mean the country was peaceful until the day they died. We saw what happened in Togo.
Like Charles Taylor, the dictator.
We saw what happened in Togo.
Let's start about Liberia. Charles Taylor was dictator. Charles
Taylor was a rebel, and he had a lot of bad print on people.
But he was a dictator, right?
He had so many enemies. He couldn't survive in the midst of what he had created. But when you look up Yasibe Yadima of Togo, he died before Togo got in trouble. Look at Ofui Boye.
That's not true. Togo
he died before Ivory Coast really got it.
People listen to this, so you can't be saying
then allow Aliyu to finish his stuff. You deliberately try to distract me. All right.
What I mean, I don't want to forget, because when you say you are saying Togo was peaceful until Iyadima died.
Right.
I'm saying Togo, their first coup in West Africa was in Togo.
And what happened? I'm not saying that wherever the dictator was, there were no coup there. I didn't say that. Okay. If you look at all of this conversation, Paul Kagame took over Rwanda and used a completely different strategy from that of the Western system. Rwanda has been growing. Our biggest problem in Liberia is the House of Legislature. Since 1980, this country was taken. The House of Legislature have been a liability and a burden. Do you know that if you cut the budget of the Liberian Senate and representative by in half, you can actually use that money to provide electricity for the entire country? Just cut it in half and take out all of the unnecessary amenities like gasoline, like housing allowance, all of those things. When you have people making $45, $50 a month, that's where the problem is. And one of the reasons why people get frustrated with me, like PSC over there, is they do not direct their energy, all of this negative vibe, to the right places. It doesn't matter who becomes president, as long as they adore this particular system. The House of Legislature can always determine the success of the president. That's why they push that woman, Madam Elijah, to pump money into them like nobody's business. Because that was the only way she knew how to achieve her agenda. That didn't work either. these guys will hold you. And we have to think about how we can meet this people. Then this people pass a law by themselves. Taiwan Gongloe did not challenge that law. They pass a law by themselves that they can determine what their wages are. They can determine what benefit they get, what their budget can be. They can determine it. It's like cassava Lee and Billy Good. I wouldn't see Taiwan Gongloe challenge this kind of law in court. I believe the Constitution can actually trust that law. But no councillor, no Antonia law actually challenge this law in court. So our problem is right there.
All right, thank you. You can challenge that when you win, when you give them the right to make law, they make the law, and you say
no, not every law is accepted under the Constitution.
No,
Some laws
that
are not
particular law is not going to be. And number two, I wanted to help you when you say Liberia means it, what we need is a because what you just said is not dictatorship. Even in America, they have part-time legislature, right? So what you are saying, if you take away the legislative branch, that's not dictatorship.
It is. Let me tell you why it is a dictatorship.
Hold on. You said the problem is the legislature. So if we take that away, we can still run the country with.
So how do you take that away if you're not a dictator? How can you take it away?
No. Hold on first. So what I'm saying here is I'm trying to help you.
No, you're not helping me. In fact, you're making matter worse.
No, because you identify the problem, you say the legislative branch, that's the problem. How to deal with it now, and then you brought in that bad thing, you say dictatorship. But let me go to Mr. Pearson.
No. Wait, 1 minute.
I don't want to waste time on those kind of things.
No, not wasting time. The people in there will not allow you to remove them constitutionally. So how do you do it? Tell me. Don't just jump away.
No, we can talk about that, but it's not dictatorship.
Okay.
It's not dictatorship. You can remove them.
Just tell me how.
That's another discussion. But don't mention that word dictator because we are dictators, right?
Just say you don't like it. Just say you don't like the word dictator. But the only way you can move the people.
We are Samuel Doe. We are Charles Taylor, right?
But the legislature was still there.
Yeah, but our dictators. So I'm saying the thing you want to say.
We have benevolent dictators. I'll give you an example of Rwanda. Let's use his method. Somehow.
Yeah, and we can talk about his method. What is his method?
Well, his method, for instance, he's been president for almost 30 years. Because he that's one. Number two, he knows, you see how everything is working. In fact, they're talking about refugees, people, migrants in Europe. They transport them to Rwanda for safety.
The dictatorial things he did to be.
Well, he silenced a lot of people, man. It is simple, man. Everybody knows. He silenced a lot of people. He kept a lot of people, the people he considered troublemakers, he kept them aside. He determined how the legislature worked. In fact, he gets 60% right to women in the legislature. That was solely his decision. He has been making unilateral decisions.
He killed some people as well.
Yeah, you got to do that. That's what I said.
Mr. Pearson, Clarence, go ahead on the retreats.
Alio, I don't think we need dictatorship in Liberia. In fact, if you went back in our history, you will find that we have a history of superior presidency. And if you go back to our recent history, you notice that Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf decided who will be the Speaker of the House of Representatives in her first term by removing Edwin Snow as Speaker of the House of Representatives just to get a will to be achieved in the House of Representatives. And if you follow a second term and you follow even a George Weah administration, they will always get their will in the legislature when you are in power as the president. We saw Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf appoint people to government, and they didn't go as acting because he didn't want them to go to the Senate to get confirmed. All right. So we have a supreme presidency. I think when it comes to this issue of the legislature retreat, we're passing a budget that is going to be accounting for the full amount of the fiscal year in the middle of the year. So of course, the guys see money that they must go and liquidate before the year can come to an end. So they will find every means to justify how to spend that money. We've been there, we live in Liberia, we've seen this happening. They will find all means to have activities to justify that money. Even the president, multiple trips abroad, going towards the same direction, they have money that they feel they have to spend. Trust me, they feel that if the budget of $700 million, that $700 million must be spent to the negative before the next fiscal year. And whatever it takes to spend that money to get the bank accounts fat, they will have to find a way to justify it. So, but Dennis, this is my point, right? What hurts me is the lack of leadership, and I will keep saying this. What is our priorities? How can we spend $50,000 in Buchanan on a retreat when right across the street, the University of Liberia, the students are sitting on the ground, literally sitting on the ground, don't have seats to sit in, don't have chairs to sit in. What sort of leaders think like that? Where are the priorities? Where is the sense of urgency? Sharif, how can you drive past the students of University of Liberia who you left at ELW Junction looking for taxi because there's no keke, there's no motorbike on the road. They're walking from ELW Junction going to LU and going to miss their test, and you drive in government vehicle that insurance is paid for, that you get 3 times a year. You get insurance on it, and you're getting fuel that you don't even need to put in there because you're getting free fuel because of the juice you're striking on the side. And you pass those students on the road, drive to the Capitol building, and sign a check for $50 million when there's no bus to pick up the kids from ELW Junction to Fender, from ELW Junction to LU campus. Who makes that kind of decision? Who makes that kind of a decision? Who decides? I come in, Father Washington. Who decides that the executive are going to have retreat? Who decides that the senators must have retreat? Then now the representatives are going to have their own retreat. Who decides that they have $10,000 just as transportation to go to the districts when they already got cars assigned to them with fuel slip, with gas slip, with pedan? Why can't you do another $10,000 when the university students across the country, the public school students, the public schools within the counties don't even have chalkboard or crayon to write on the board. Copybooks are not available. We don't have fire trucks to fight fire in Monrovia. We do not have ambulances to take people to hospitals. We don't have drugs at JFK. What gave you the audacity to spend $50,000 when all of those other priorities are low-hanging fruits that $50,000 can solve within 1 week time?
Thank you.
It's very hurtful.
And let me say that according to Prince Moy in the Senate, this $10,000 for the constituency fee it should be $833 a month. So the $833 a month times 12, that is almost the $10,000, right? That's how they get the $10,000. So, but instead of giving this every month, they are taking lump sum, right? I know in America here, when you take lump sum, what that means. Even your lottery money, you want to take lump sum, it reduces.
Right.
But these guys, so I don't know where you work, but if you make $115,000 a year, and they give you the entire $115,000 in June, I don't know if you're going to go back.
So what happens?
I don't know how productivity will be for you, Dennis.
I know. No.
There'll be a lot of sick days you'll call off.
Right. Then let me clarify something quick here. 30 seconds.
Yes, sir.
If the president of Liberia has so much power over the House of Legislature, why do they have to give them brown envelope in order to have their way?
We'll come to that in the second set to say, what do we do? Because I think you have diagnosed this problem with the legislature. That's something that we need to talk about. The power of the purse, so that's the power. You scratch my back, I scratch your back. So, but let me hear from Mr. Sharif on the retreats.
Yeah, yesterday I talked about the retreat, and I think that one of the senators promised to get back to you, like with a report or something, and I'm waiting for a report, right? So, as many others are waiting to see the report. And Thomas said something very interesting. Thomas Kane on the show yesterday, he said that he doesn't like these kind of preliminary report where the exact amount. He said like $50,000. Well, no cent, nothing went over it, nothing. It wasn't under or over. He said he doesn't like it, and what he was saying there was, he was up to something. He's basically saying This is, it's incredible that, you just spent exact $50,000. There's no, it's hard. There's no exact amount, right? So it would be over or under, maybe under. But if that's the case, where is the report? So my problem here with the retreat is twofold. Is there a report? There should be a report, and I'm talking about a concise report of a breakdown of what was spent and where. And then the second thing, as I mentioned last night, was you don't need a retreat to be able to discuss your website. You're trying to construct a website. You don't need a retreat for this. You don't need a retreat to know one another. A retreat is a good way, though, to get away from town, to sit down and talk among yourselves. But you don't need the things that were discussed. You don't need a retreat for those things that you
especially during crisis, right? I don't know they realize that this is a crisis period. If you look at the drug
we're really in crisis. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We're really, really in crisis. And Brother Pearson said it right. I mean, this is something, now with our school system in tatters, with the economy the way it is, and the social condition, the social economic condition of the Liberian people, and and then there is a class of people that show this, that exemplify that, there are two Liberias. There's one Liberia that's, that's living above their means, and then there's another Liberia where everyone else is living in this abject poverty, and it is not a good look. It's definitely not a good look. And going back to what Ali was saying there too, is that everything is not just the executive. So you have a very powerful legislature. Keep in mind, the legislature in Liberia is very powerful, and sometimes we forget in our analysis that the legislature, you said, they hold the purse string, right? They are the ones that are, allocate these budgets, and so you also have that component, and let's not forget that, and they need to be held accountable. And so, look, the bottom line is, collectively, everybody, the collective opposition, civil society, everybody needs to be indignant by some of the things that we're seeing. But it seems like most times that the Liberian people are docile. We just sit around and we'll do a little talking here and there, and then
Sherry, my question is, why is the comprehensive report important for you?
It is. That's a great question. It is important for accountability purposes, because if you don't, put that report on your website, put that report in newspaper, so that you're showing us accountability, right?
But our concern is not accountability, Mr. Sherry. That's not our concern. Our concern is that, hey, we don't have this kind of money to be able to spend. That's our problem.
Yeah.
No one gave us that report. There's no question about that. They won't give it to us.
Yes.
But I'm not concerned. They will find it. They'll go to World Trade Center, they'll print everything, and they'll give us it.
Receipt. They will get you receipt as well.
And let me tell you,
I agree.
And let me tell you, the reports. See what Mr. Senator Amara coming home, or Mr. Sharif said he agreed with what he said. This is what he said. The allegation that the Senate spent $700,000 of taxpayer money on a 2-day retreat in Buchanan is inaccurate. Doing so would have been unquestionable. The retreat cost $50,000 and all went into the Buchanan economy. The Senate will issue an official response.
Official response. That's
so
official.
Is that money, that $50,000 went in the Buchanan economy. So it's just to find that. So when the official response came from Yomli Kanga Lawrence, say, hey, we spent $50,000, we use it for accommodation, rental, and blah blah. In fact, even you have to give Yomli who lives.
So that's why for me the report is not important. The problem is that we do not have the money to spend. So we don't have the money to spend what we have. Don't just go pay. I mean, it's like I live in a house and I'm not even able to pay my mortgage, but I'm eating something that is not so important for me. Why am I spending that money?
And before I go to Jimmy, let me tell you, in Ghana where we were, if you go buy the food, you have to buy the meat separate.
All right. Yeah.
So the meat is different. So when in the shop, you got the fufu and eating it. So this Liberian guy, he had all the meat. And you see this Ghanaian guy, you know, let the class soup know me because he can't afford it.
Yeah.
So he finished, you know, the Liberian guy now he finished eating. He wanted to go, but he wanted to know the time. So he asked the Ghanaian guy, he said, hey, my brother, what's your time? So the Ghanaian said, ask your meat. Fucking boy, go ask your meat.
Yeah.
That meat could buy you a wash.
Yeah.
So, Jimmy, what's your take on the Senate and the retreat?
Yeah, you know, Ali were touching on it more, and Sharif. You know, let's call a spade a spade. The other day I saw a cartoon of a wolf. He was on a puppet. He was a politician, and he's announcing to a crowd of pigs. He said, when I am elected, I will become a vegetarian. Oh, say y'all that. He said he will not eat meat no more. That's what he telling the pig them, so they can elect him. Then when he get there now, you will see if he doesn't eat meat no more. All our people want to go in government. All of them want to be senator. Government is the most sought after position. Why? Everybody knows when they go in government, they will be able to abscond with money illegally. You look at some of the appointments they made. They say, "Oh, he was appointed to this ministry. That's a lucrative ministry." Wait, all of them making the same money? How one place would be lucrative and the other one not lucrative?
Yeah,
it's telling you directly what these people are doing. So what we have is a system that is encouraging theft. It's a kleptocracy. So if Dylan was not senator today, or let's say there was another Dylan out in the street, he would be preaching against the Dylan in the Senate. All of them, when they get there, they get part of this club that protects each other, this club that approves deals, share brown envelopes, all kinds of things together, and they take the Liberian people for ransom. Oh, and if any one of you get near, if you want to be appointed and you want to be near, some of you are technocrats.
So, conclude with the solution. What do we do? Because I'm bringing on the callers, and callers, if you are there, please call the number on your screen. What do we do? Some examples of get rid of the House, part-time senators, reduce the tenure. What do we do?
It has to start with transparency. That's the only place we can start. And you said the man can bring a list and say, yeah, he get this receipt, but you follow the money, you can get those people in trap. Molu said it. Molu said those people don't even know how to steal. He could grab any one of them. But the idea is we don't have anybody. We have no agency. The people who are supposed to protect us are the people who are robbing us. They're not in our favor. You know, so this retreat, what are the dividends of the retreat? What do we get out of it? That's what I want to measure. $50,000, that sounds paltry for a whole Senate to go. That's not a lot of money to spend for a whole Senate.
Right.
Okay, one hotel room is $150 times how many? 80? How much that? Do the math. That's not about 30,000, 40,000 all by itself, just renting rooms. So I don't believe that budget amount, and I want to see the figures, because even though they can falsify, they can do things, but I can start there. If we don't have transparency on these people, we are doomed, because the only way we can catch them, the only way we can bring them to justice is if we reveal what they have done. So it starts with transparency. It ends with accountability.
Thank you.
The only way.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you. Let me bring in our first caller here, and that's Cllr Gongloe.
In trouble.
Mr. Gongloe, you are live. Go ahead, sir.
All right. very sure. I just want to make a quick point here. Few points. Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, good. All right. So first, let me begin with Mohammed. Mohammed tried to make some points.
Let's begin with the issue that we discussed. Why are you beginning with Mohammed?
Because I talked about his brother. So.
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't want to forget the first one. So I think Mohammed tried to say some things, but we need to give him a better history. He's talking about the reduction of the term of legislators, or even the presidential term. Under President George Weah, he actually proposed a reduction in term limit. Okay? It was the opposition led by the Unity Party that rejected it. Even though many of us thought it was a good thing, because even Dr. Sawyer, who drafted the Constitution and proposed 4 years term limit for the president and House of Representatives, and 5 years, I think 5 or 6 years on the Senate, which was changed in Banga at the revision, was fighting for this to come back to 4 years. President George Weah proposed that the very group in power today rejected Mohammed. So I want to put that in to remind you that it's not something that a single individual politician will take and go around the country and say, I'm going to educate people on that. Because it's a constitutional matter. It has to go through a referendum. It has to go through the House and the Senate. The president got a group, then they put it to referendum. So it's a process. So the best thing you do is to call on, you're part of the rescue team, call on Joseph Boakai to fight for, term limit or reduction of term. One. And the second thing is, you talk about the yellow machine. That thing, I think that was sufficiently. You can have a budgetary allocation, but there is a process to utilize that money out of the budget. You don't just go because it's allocated to you. This is not, even when you work here in America, you don't just go because you got department budget. There's a procedure you go through. There's a procurement procedure you go through. If you're going to procure goods are valued above certain limit, you have to go through certain procedure. Below certain limit, you use certain method. It's laid out in the law. The CDCC out. It's laid out in how to go about that. I'm not going to bother the listener to go through in the detail here. So on the other question you guys are discussing, the Senate retreat. The Senate retreat was a disaster because it was a corrupt act the guys were engaged in. When Senator Amra Connor spoke, read that carefully. He said 2 days. Okay? Read Yomli on. 4 days. Read the law on. 4 days. Why that inconsistency? They are in the same office. Why that inconsistency? Something is going there wrong. On Spoon Network, Moab, Senator Prince Moy, he said they received $10,000 each before he headed to Buchanan. So that $50,000 was just to rub the grease on their elbow. So if you calculate $10,000 for 2 days, like I'm going with I'm not corner for 2 days. It means each of them was, I did a calculation actually, they were making $625 per hour because they work for 8 hours a day and not 2 days. So that's 15 hours there. If you divided 10,000 by 15 hours,
the 10,000 was for according to Moy, the 10,000 was for the constituency visit. But they just happened to get it. Yeah, they just happened to get it before the retreat, but it's not for the retreat. It's for their constituency visit.
So the main question is like their own rescue rambo, Martin Corley, has written youngly to give the detailed receipt and all of things under the FOR. Martin Corley is requesting the detailed receipt. I'm also drafting a letter now to the Minister of Public Works to give the minutes of the Debt Evaluation Committee and the Minister of Public Works that empower him to give to the $2 million contract out in the absence of an approved budget. I'm writing under the FOI. We're going to keep this out. They are corrupt. They are agents of corrupt people.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me bring in our second caller here. That's Solomon Sampson. Go ahead, Solo. You're live.
Thank you, Mr. Jack. Good evening to you and the rest of the panelists. A great show tonight. Even though you disagree with Aliu on one or two points, but Aliu said something that I have been saying for many, many years. The one thing he said earlier that I didn't agree with was blaming the individual Liberian or the diaspora Liberian for the underdevelopment of Liberia. We'll continue to say this. Now, if the government is not making the environment safe, there's no way an individual can change anything. Yeah. Many of us in America we have sent a lot of containers in Liberia, went to do some construction business, but to free a container, you will pay twice than what you use to ship it. The only time the laws are enforced in Liberia is when a diaspora Liberian ship something in Liberia to go and do business. That is the only time the laws are enforced down there. Now, so we take our background and say, no, let's go and build our individual homes. Everybody wants their dream home, retirement home, people are building Airbnb, stores. And these are brand new buildings, beautiful buildings. But because, again, the government does not lay out a map to where people should build and how people should build, everybody build anywhere. Your house into my house, your back to my front, road can go to the other person's house. And so the whole development tends to disaster. Because it starts with the government. Yeah. Now, when it comes to those legislators, I agree with Ali on, like I said, I've been saying for years, is we all know we don't want war in Liberia anymore. We detest war. We have tasted war. Nobody wants war. But the truth is, and please, Mr. John, especially you, do not rebuke me. I will continue to say this. Liberia is one of the things I strongly believe is one of the places that will remain the same for eternity. For real. Because the truth is, you have 103 individuals. Since the Constitution was revisited 1985 or 1984, up to now, those guys have never been able to sit in the House of Representatives to say, you know what, these laws that were made was of 19th century or 18th century. Now we're in the 21st century. How can we live by laws that were written for the 19th century? You know what? We don't do anything else. Let's bring all these laws on the board. Let's revisit them. What makes sense to us today? Let's adapt it and then move forward. They cannot do that because these guys are wicked, they are evil, and they are greedy. The only way like you will move forward, you're asking for the solution. Yes, the solution. We have to get rid of the legislative branch of government. How can we do that? Number one, we can do that through a military leadership. Nobody has a fire. Nobody we have seen it happening in Africa now. Or else, we can go to each and every representative or Senate constituent and ask those for those hundreds of signatures and go remove them. And then how? It's not possible. The people are hungry. Yesterday when I listened to the show, a lady called and said we got to educate our people about the voting rights. Voting cannot do nothing. How many senators and representatives we fired at one time? And we fired many of them. The new one that come now, and they join the same retreat and everything. So it's not that the people have a choice of selecting who leaders and then they choose the bad one. It's not that. So it's no voter education cannot help the situation. The only way Liberia will move forward, get rid of the legislative branch because they are a liability to Liberia and they are a disaster.
Thank you. Yeah, get rid. We'll just find a way, but not through. Let me take the last caller here, and that's FOL, Public Finance Management Practitioner, Thomas Cannon. Thomas.
Thank you, Dennis. When you see that we are in a region that has Niger, it has Mali, it has Guinea, and then you have the last caller, the way going the way he's going, it worries anyone because we have democratic backsliding and we're really trying to build democracy. But it also goes to our leaders that globally, there is also this argument about economic growth and empowerment and democracy. Whether democracy itself can deliver on economic growth, or whether you need to focus on growth and therefore to improve your democratic credentials. So this is something our leaders need to actually pay attention to so that democracy can deliver. Because if it doesn't deliver, then you will increase the number of callers, just like the last caller who left the line. But the reason I called was to actually just make a contribution on the tax issue that Pearson spoke about. The issue of taxation is that our tax law defines a tax base. And in that tax base, it will be defined, if you go to our revenue code, it will define exactly who pays the tax and what property, for instance, taxes will be levied. Generally, globally, when it comes to religious institutions, buildings like churches, where people go to worship, you don't tax them. They will be tax-free. Yeah. So you now go to Trinity Cathedral, for instance, and say they should pay tax on that building where they are worshiping. But when a religious institution has an entity where they are running like a business, then of course it becomes taxable globally. Because the issue with taxation is that you make sure that anyone who's making income pay taxes equally. So if a church has a school where people are paying school fees, they are making income and they are making profit, they should be taxed because other private citizens who also have schools are making income and they are paying tax. So I just wanted to clarify that. The other thing is that
the school should be taxed, not the church.
Not the church. But if the church has a school where they are making income or they are making profit, or the church has a hospital where they are making profit. The other thing is income taxes. Even if you employ people in a charitable entity, for the time that you are paying them salaries and they are making income, they become liable for paying income taxes. Except if that person falls below the income tax threshold, which is $70,000 Liberian dollars in Liberia. So if the person is making less than $70,000, the person is not taxable. But if that person's salary is beyond $70,000, except if the LRA does not track them, they should be paying tax because they are making income. So I just wanted to clarify some of these things. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I was thinking because
I mean, that's
the Pearson's salvation was questionable. I thought that why they were taxing him. You say, look at this
no, but the fact that the church has a school doesn't necessarily mean that they're making profit. They might be getting school fees, but the money is meant to be able to take care of the school and pay the teachers.
No, it's not. What the people are paying, so the school. Well, profit doesn't mean that you actually make them. You can operate at a loss, but you still make it's still a profit.
No,
school is not for profit. Majority of the schools that we run is not for profit.
Yeah. Let's conclude. I want us to conclude now, but we are out of time. Well, our conclusion should be on solutions with all that we have discussed. It could be either on the retreat side. I was even thinking, and I've been kind of looking at part-time because the part-time legislature, because if we can reduce their term, reduce the money they make, and reduce the time. I mean, one person is entitled to what? 16 staffers? For what? You know, maybe they work, and actually they are working actual days of work. The day they go to the offices is 2 days. If you have to call them back when they are on their recess, you have to pay them extra money, right? So if we cut all that off, the Senate will not be, or the legislature will not be that this attractive for everybody to be going there.
Who will cut it off? Who will cut it off? Who will cut it off, Dennis?
Yeah, but let's go around the room. Let's advance some solutions here. Let me start with Mohammed. Let's be a brief 2 minutes each for our closing. And in that closing, I want to hear solutions on everything that we've spoken about. You can pick one, you can pick two, you can pick all three. But if you can do that within 2 minutes, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, you mentioned cut it off. That's one way to do it. Another way is to reduce the number of senators and representatives. One county per, a senator per county. You start from there. Jimmy asked the question, who will do it? These guys are, and ladies are very powerful. They're not going to stand for this. But the Liberian people, I mean, what about the people? The people need to, rise up and do something about this. This is where the collective opposition. I mean, Gongloe, my friend Gongloe mentioned some things about, Sawyer's proposal. Sawyer then all started this thing. Sawyer has 7 years in there, and Edward Kesseley's commission added a year. So Sawyer didn't do better either. I mean, they were trying to appeal to the military rulers to step down, I guess, but it's still not good. So another thing is to reduce the term, right? It's 9 years is too long. You want to reduce that to 4 years per senator, 4 years for president, and 2 years for the members of the House of Representatives. When you have reduced the House of Representatives, and then the remuneration, the pay rate is so high. You want to disincentivize that. You want to lower where it's not appealing to everybody, right? So this is where you start. And so the question of how you do that Jimmy just asked is a very important one. I think is something that we all need to grapple with.
Thank you, Dr. Washington. As you close your solution.
Well, the reduced I don't know. Forget it. Say you don't want any House of Representatives. Say you don't want any House of Senate. Say you don't want any judiciary. The problem in our country is not these government institutions. The problems in Liberia is a broken family system. Our country is so corrupt that even a little child will start learning from the beginning that this is the way to do it. So if you have a society that is so corrupt, and the culture, the political economy that is so corrupt that everybody does it, it's not just the legislature, remove them, put someone else there. I hear all these people say, oh, we want competent people and qualified people. Don't waste my time with all these kind of terminology about competent and qualified people. Just tell corrupt people. You put them there, nothing changes. So then Dennis, take you, all of us, put that in one of those houses. This same thing. The Dillon, the people who are all talking, they start doing the same thing. It starts from just the beginning, from the broken families, where we have no fathers, no mothers around. Kids just learn what to see from older people do. The little corruption in the schools, in the churches. The churches are corrupt. The schools are corrupt. Everywhere there's something you can do. Nothing in our country without paying money for doing it. And that's it. It goes into government. It goes into every sector of our society. So don't waste my time telling about, reduce the salary of the legislature. It's not going to solve the problem of our country. Our country, you need to start from families. You need to start from school, from little ones. Let them begin to know how good it is to become ethical, to become sincere. When you work, being sincere. In a country where somebody goes to work and they go home, they want to steal something that's in the office. It's not going to work. So for me, the only solution, I think we need to build our families.
So, and you know who had that same problem before? God. God had the same problem when he first made the world, and he said, well, these people are too corrupt. Everything is corrupt. So I'm going to kill them and save, and I'm being extreme here in my description. And only 8 persons, Noah and his family were saved, right? Because, and what happened afterwards? When Noah came back after the flood, we still have the same problem. So when you say the family and how do we do it? Do we go and kind of recreate a whole generation?
No. So what you need to do is that it has to be about education. As you have to start a new generation of young people, teaching them how to be sincere, building our family system.
And what would be the timeline on this? Maybe
it's not about timeline. It's just starting from where you are now. You just started from where you are.
No, I mean, how long is it going to take before we reach there?
Where you see all these countries where there is with sincerity and people doing the right thing, it becomes a culture. Right? It becomes a way of life. People begin to live into it because of assimilate that kind of culture into their psyche and say, hey, I don't need to do this. I don't need to do that. But when you have a system where people just kind of like, we got to do it. And that's the only way we can survive. You go to an airport and you just arrive And the way you're not supposed to walk, somebody runs through you and say, "Can I give you this deposit? You can give me 10 cents." What the? Like, it's just taking it. So I mean, we caught the money of the legislature, remove them. It's not going to solve your problem.
Thank you. Let me go to Aliyu. Aliyu, please say your solution beside dictatorship. I beg you. Oh.
Yeah, I may not use the word, but I was
If Leah was a dictator, you would not like it. Charles Cllr was a dictator, you will not agree with him. Joe was a dictator, you not agree. So the dictator is not dictatorship. Go ahead.
What I'm about to say here, Dennis, and I really mean it, and it's the fact. There's no way around it. Dennis Ja. The people of Liberia, like they did the Umar al-Bashir of Sudan, the people of Liberia need to do that to the Capitol building. I will not encourage any insurgency from any military movement, but the people of Liberia have to stand up to fight for the demolition of that organization called the legislature. As long as that group exists, Liberia is going nowhere. We need a radical leadership. I know we're not going to finance Joseph Boakai in the next season because he's not a radical person. But I'm a radical person. We need a justice system that will not be looking for favor from outside. We need a justice system that can focus on the inside and what works. And let me tell you, capital punishment, one. If somebody kills and it's proven beyond all reasonable doubt that the person killed, they should only stay in jail for 1 week and be executed. If it is proven beyond all reasonable, Dennis, you eradicate crime. You see in Russia today, you barely see crime in Russia because the criminal know what it means to commit crime in Russia. Look, certain people,
they got oligarchs in Russia who doing
oligarchs and somebody walking straight to you and stabbing you in your chest and to your phone are two different things.
So a big criminal, small criminal.
Yes, the big criminals are linked to the president himself. But the everyday people can walk in the community and not worry about being star. Oligarchs, they know what they're doing, Yeah, all of those are whatchamacallit, but I would rather have oligarchs than to have somebody just look at a woman, Barnabas Junction, and just stops her. And even the clinics around there rejects the woman. Instead of stabilizing that woman and send her to a referral hospital, they drop the woman out of her clinic. The woman falls and dies. The police did not even go to the clinic to ask anybody any question. That is not a system that can be successful. Then there's, first of all, that clinic should face a threat of being shut down and people should be prosecuted. We have to do drastic things regardless of what somebody sitting in the White House will say about us. If we don't do those things, everything that we do in Liberia be based upon what the White House feel about us, then we are not the White House people. The system they got in place that are working have existed for over 240 years. You not have any system to actually work in our country because the system we have is not ours. Let us find ways that works for us. Liberian children, African children, if you're not flocking 25 large quarter, they're not listening to you. You can lecture your whole day, like you can lecture your children in America. Go try a children in Liberia that will never work. You got to get them whipping. So we got to do what works for us. We got to be drastic about it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Even though I try to say, don't say dictatorship, you almost still win. That's the question. Say we want to be like Russia.
Yeah, Dennis. Dennis. Thank you for having me tonight. I will say this. I don't think Liberia needs a dictator. I don't think we need drastic laws like capital punishment, like the death sentence, stuff like that. We work around trying to get away from those things already. We made substantial gain and have come over to a multi-party democracy. I think that's good for Liberia. I think that's in the best direction we can go. But what I think is this, when it comes to what we discussed, some solutions to me is that, and I will say this again, I said it last time, the Liberian government, whichever government is in power, should understand that you don't go negotiating in this modern world with empty hands. when you're going out to meet people to negotiate for good things that you want to sell to them, you have to go with a plan. And your plan should be well articulated, well written and well articulated. And it comes in 3 stages. You have to pre-plan and pre-negotiate. Don't wait for they say the meeting is next week, then you go there empty-handed on the week of the conference, and then you try to put talks together. You need to plan. I know we have the arrest agenda, but I have seen no action plans that comes out of the arrest agenda since the government came to power 6 months going now. No action plans. What are the action plans for agriculture? What is the action plan for electricity? What is the action plan for basic social services in the country? What are the needs, and what are the costs, and what are the outcomes we're looking to find? How can people come and invest in those plans, and what returns and benefits are there for them? I think the government should take that into consideration, and we should be able to measure those things going forward. And I think when it comes to the retreat, American, if he's listening, Darius DeLong, we are hoping these guys. You know, we thought that a revolution happening in the legislature, and now we found that these guys are now backtracking to the old ways, the business as usual. I just want to say to them, listen, you got people out there who were hoping on you, who were counting on you guys to make a difference. We hope that you guys in the Senate should be able to put your foot down on some things and spend responsibly. And measure your expenditure, measure your budgeting. The same way you guys were able to come and give us $10,000 pre-fund, you guys advance salary, advance payment for
tax free.
Yeah, tax-free advance payment. You could have used that money and service the University of Liberia. You could have used that money to get buses for students. You could have used that money to get ambulances for the capital city. You could have used that money to buy firefighters, machine. All right. And lastly, and I close, to Prof. Gongloe. I know he's a good man. I know he means well for Liberia, but we need to go beyond political rhetoric. Gongloe is a lawyer. There are some things that you can challenge at the Supreme Court, and you can have a stay order on some activities of the government. You can use the FOI, Freedom of Information Act, FIO, whatever the case, laws, and you can hold government accountable. And you can be that broom you talk about to be the one that bounce on government on every inch to see transparency take full effect, not just to say it, but to take action that will demand them to be transparent. And during Ellen and during Ellen regime, one of the things I admire, Americana was what they call the open budget, where they had a big screen in Monrovia, where Americana had the budget open on a big screen in front of the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, and you could access the budget anytime with explanation of the budget note, and the spending and the reporting on the budget. And I know that they all had the issues as well, but at least we could see to some extent that level of transparency. We've killed all of those institutions that will be the integrity institutions that they have been killed and disorganized. We can still bring them back with Prof. Gongolo's then help. Advocate for those things and take concrete actions to have them done. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Jimmy.
Yeah, it's not rocket science. What discourages bad behavior is punishment and penalties. Number one. We know that's the only thing. We are not different. The difference is people get away with it. We are not punished. If we were punished, we will see people behavior changing. Okay, so the next question is, but why don't we punish it? The first thing you need.
But Jimmy, let me take you back to the old theory of theory X and theory Y, that people are all bad. You have to use punishment to correct bad behavior. That's what you were saying.
That those are not going to get to those existential concepts. We can go all day with that different philosophies. I don't want to, but we know
disagree with you. That's what I'm saying.
While I agree with you, the only way we can stop bad behavior is to punish it. Number one, there's only one solution.
It's and then reward the good behavior
or elect this person. We have to be in the punishment business. Why we do not punishment? Because we do not have the will to do it. Why don't we have the will to do it? Because our education, our understanding is this is what we do. We can get by. We do not see the harm it is bringing our economies. It makes poor people poorer. Women and children suffer more from corruption than anybody else. We have that education thing that Father Washington was talking about is very important. We have to tell our people this thing we're doing, accepting bribe, accepting corruption every day, is making us poorer every day. We have to spread the news. But one thing that other countries have done to stop it, we came up with the LACC. Those kind of institutions have to have wide-ranging powers that they can arrest and bring anybody to justice and not be influenced by other people. That is how you get after them. The reason why dictators can do this, like who were talking about dictatorship, Mr. Kamara, the reason why they can do it because those institutions are answerable to them. Okay, so we have to have a body that can carry out this punishment and will not have to be influenced by politics. That is the only solution. There's no other solution besides educating people, punishing people, and having a body that is free of political influence that can go after these people. That is it. But now, ask those who enjoy corruption to do it. They will not want to do it. So we're back to square one.
Thank you. And what I was saying, Jimmy, you should punish. I wanted you to also add that then we reward good behavior, not just punish the bad behavior. In Liberia, we are now rewarding good behavior most of the time, right? You can be somewhere honest, doing your best with integrity, and nobody looks at you.
Right.
But then you have this loquacious buffoon. You have someone who lacks integrity, and these are the people that everybody wants to be like. If you don't steal, then you are stupid. So we should not only punish bad behavior, we should reward good behavior. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. This has been a good show. I want to thank
Sherry wanted to cool down on me. For some reason, for a few minutes now, Sherry now attack me again. Cool down on me. What happened, Sherry?
You're leaving small for next time.
We came back on the right track. That's what happened. So when you come back to track, when you talk like a reasonable person, we're reasonable people.
Yeah, you only reasonable one who are sticking to your tune.
Next week Friday, we're going to compare the first 5 months of President Weah versus the first 5 months of President Boakai.
Okay.
And here are some of the areas we're going to be looking at. Let me look at my notes. We will be looking at the fight against corruption within the first 5 months. And that includes asset recovery. If there be, by this time, we're talking about bringing our money back, right? Asset declaration, audits, any indictment. We're going to go to the economy and compare salary payment, capital investment, development plan, the prices of essential goods, the budget. Then we're going to go to alleged scandal and questionable deals. We'll look at travels, Papa Nakam. Then we're going to look at communication. What we are speaking to, or what is Boakai doing now? Then we look at security, unexplained death, and all these different things. The invasion of Zogos or the drug infestation within the first 5 months. How we look? We're going to be comparing. Come ready, do all your research. And we're going to debate. Again, thank you. At this time, we want to also appreciate our callers, those who watch us, those who even will watch later. Always follow Focus on Liberia. We are the best hand down when it comes to this holistic approach to dealing with everything Liberia. Until then, we close with our song that says, "We are all Liberians." Have a good night, gentlemen. And
thank you, guys.
Have a good night.
We are We are Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people.